Hey guys, it's me, Sarah. But this week on 7 Girls, 7 Days, it is MagCon week, and some of the girls are doing like tags and quizzes, but I decided to do my MagCon experience because I have actually been to MagCon. I went to the San Diego one, and so I'm just going to start from the beginning. So I got up at around 8, and I was picking up 3 of my friends. And so I got up around 8, and then I did my makeup and my hair, and I put my bag in the car because we were actually staying at the hotel, even though we live fairly close to where it was. Um, and then we drove to my first friend's house, but they weren't ready, so we just drove to my other friend's house, and then we came back and we picked up the 2 girls that were coming. So it's going with 2 girls and 1 guy, and after that, after we had everyone in the car and stuff, we drove to the hotel, but we were all in pajamas except for Troy, which is the name of the guy that I went with. So me, Nastasia, and Lisa, we were the 3 girls that went. We went in pajamas, but we had our makeup and our hair done so that we could just change at the hotel. So we checked in, and we went into our hotel room, and we were on floor 9. And we put our stuff down and we got dressed, and then we just decided to explore a little bit because we got there about 5 hours before the actual event started. So we walked down to the lobby, and right when we walked in from the elevator or out from the elevator, we turned a corner and we were just looking around. And we saw Brent Rivera, and we were like, oh, hi. And then he smiled at us and said, hey, and then he just continued walking. We didn't want to bother him because we were going to meet him later anyway. And then we turned another corner, and there was Bart. So we were like, oh, hey, can we have a picture with you? And then so we took pictures with Bart. And then we were like, thank you for coming to San Diego. He's like, thank you for welcoming us. I'm like, you're welcome. You're welcome, Bart. So after that, there was the Starbucks attached to the hotel. So we went to Starbucks, and then we watched some of the guys play football. And we had our penny boards with us. Me and Nastasia brought our penny boards. And we were boarding back and forth across this little cement area by the field where the guys were playing, and then one of my friends said that Hayes looked at us and like pointed, and they were like, and they said that they saw him like mouth, I guess, like they're pretty or something, so that was pretty cool. Sorry, I'm sick. But after that, we went to put our penny boards away at about 1 p.m., 12:30, and when we were in the elevator, I didn't notice, but Troy whispered to me, he's like, Sarah, it's Coach Greer. And then I didn't hear him, so I just said, what? And he's like, it's Coach Greer. And then I still didn't hear him, so I was like, what? And then my friend Lisa was like, it's Nash's dad. And she said that really loud, so he looked over, and then I just like looked up at him, I'm like, oh. And I was like, oh my god, it's Nash Greer's dad. When we were getting out of the elevator, I don't know why I did this, but I yelled, God bless your children. and then we ran away, and it was hilarious. But that was pretty funny. It was really funny. And then later, we had VIP for Saturday and general for Sunday. General for Sunday. So we got in the VIP line at about 2, and they didn't let us in for VIP hour until about 3:20, but it still ended at 4, and I thought that was really unfair. But I made some really good friends over the weekend that we stayed there, so it was really cool. And we met some people that we were standing in line with and stuff. And so we got in for VIP hour at around 3:20, and all the guys were on the stage, and I'll enter some like pictures that I have. So that's the picture of what we saw when we walked in. And then Taylor had the microphone, and he told us that during VIP hour they wouldn't be taking pictures, but they were just here to like answer questions and chill with us and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then so we were really close to Galinsky. We talked to him for a second, and then my friend Troy, he went to the Fanatics tour that Jacob was at. So we decided to go over by Jacob because Jacob was just right there. So and then Jacob was taking a picture with the girl. And right when he got done taking a picture with some random girl who we didn't know, he's like, "Hey, I remember you, Detroit." And then I started freaking out because Jacob Whitesides knows my friend. And then they took pictures, and then I took pictures with Jacob. Oh, we also took pictures with Mahogany. After VIP hour was over, the show was going to start. So we got behind like the barricades to the stage. We were pretty close to the front, but then as more people started coming in, we started to get really like claustrophobic kind of, so we just left the big crowd and went to the back of the room to charge our phones because we had the meet and greet to go to, and they were going to eventually call our number, so we figured that we should just like charge our phones so that we'd have battery to take pictures with the guys. So we did that. We danced to the music, we sat down, we talked, we touched up our makeup, and then when they finally called our numbers, I was 91153, so I was 153, and everyone else who I was with was like 154, 155, 156, etc. So we got in line for the meet and greet, and we were really excited. So there were different tables and sections, and the first one was Brent and Jacob, and for VIP you get a free shirt, so they would sign the shirt. So you lay the shirt on like this little wooden table, and they would take pictures and then come down and sign all of them, and then they would take the pictures for the girls in the section. So they signed our shirt, and Jacob's signature is like a J with a little heart. My friends, they were all really scared, so they made me go first. And I walked up, and then I hugged Jacob, and so I hugged him, and then I hugged Brent. We took our picture, and I'll put it in right now. Picture of me, Brent, and Jacob, and then I was like, "Bye, I love you," and then they're like, "Love you too." So then in the next line was Aaron and Hayes, and so they signed our shirt, and then Hayes was Lisa's favorite, so she wanted to go first for this one, so she did, and then I went second, and then Nastasia went last. So I took Lisa's pictures, and then she got a really cute picture with Hayes because I ship it. And then for my picture, I hugged Hayes, but then my friend got a picture of me going like that to Hayes. So that was cute. And then I hugged Aaron, and Aaron closed his eyes for our hug. And his hugs are honestly amazing, just saying. And then for the picture, Aaron and I were doing this, but Hayes was looking down my shirt. Here's the picture. The next line was Nash and Taylor, and I was shaking because Taylor was my favorite. Nastasia and Lisa, they made me go first just because they're like, "Sarah, Taylor's your favorite, you should go first." I'm like, "But I don't want to," and then they just pushed me to the front of the line. So they both signed my shirt, and then I walked up, and then I hugged Taylor. I hugged him really hard, and he hugged back, and then when we pulled away, it was really awkward just because when Taylor was hugging me, he was like looking like forward, but then when we pulled away, I was like that, he was like that, and we looked like penguins. But then I hugged Nash, and Nash is really cute. And we took pictures, and I'll show you. And then when I was walking away from Taylor, I was like, "Thank you for making me smile." And like, "Oh," and then he said, "Oh, you're welcome, babe." Then next was Jack and Jack. When they were signing my shirt, Johnson signed it, and I was like, "Thank you." And he's like, "Oh, you're welcome." And then he smiled at me, and he's so adorable, and oh my god. And then when Galinsky signed my shirt, I said, "You're so talented." And then he looked up and smiled at me, and he did like the smirk thing that he does, and he was just like, and we're like, and he's like, "Oh, thank you." And I'm like, "You're welcome." And then for my picture, I walked up, and my friend got pictures of me hugging them. And then we just took the pictures, and then they were really cute. What makes me really sad is I didn't have enough memory on my phone to get like an actual picture with Matt and Carter. So my friend just got pictures of me hugging them. But when they were signing the shirts, Matt was talking to Carter about like asking if he had a belt because Matt kept on pulling up his pants. And like when I was walking up to get a picture, Matt was pulling up his pants and it was really funny. And then he was signing my shirt. He was like, Carter, right before he signed my shirt, he's like, Carter, do you have a belt that I can use? And then Carter pulled up his shirt and he's like, no, just look like I need a belt. And then he's like, and then Matt and him just started talking about a belt. Then when they were done, I was like, Matt, I'll buy you a belt. And then he looked and smiled and he's like, thank you, but you don't need to do that. I'm like, I will. And then, so for the meet and greet, like the picture, I walked up and I was going to give Carter a 2-armed hug, but he's so tiny, so like we stuck like a 1-arm hug. It was so awkward, but he's really nice. And then for me and Matt and I just hugged both arms. And then the last meet and greet like person was Cam, and he signed my shirt. And then I walked up and my phone was dead, so I took pictures on my friend Lisa's phone. And we hugged for like 10 seconds and we like rocked back and forth, and then we pulled away, and then he had one hand like around my arm and the other one like around my waist, and we just like stood talking like that for a second. And I was looking up at him and I was like, so are you and the guys gonna do stuff around the hotel tonight? And he's like, yeah, probably. And then we switched positions to where we were just like holding hands, and his hands were really soft and he smells really good. And then we took the picture. And then he's like, bye, beautiful. And I'm like, bye, Cam. I love you. And that was the end of the meet and greet of day 1. But, oh, I forgot to tell you. Earlier in VIP hour, when we had to form that, like, semicircle around the wall and the guys, Cam was still out there, so he had to walk through. And then I was like, hi, Cam. And then he's like, hi, babe. And then he hugged me, and then he kissed me on the cheek. And that's all that I have for that day. But that was the best day of my life. And it was the best night of my life, too. Because, so, we had so much post-MagCon depression, it was not even funny. But we were like, the guys will do stuff around the hotel later, it'll all be okay. So the event ended at like 9:30, and then at like 11, Cam tweeted that they were playing lobby tag. So we went down to the lobby, and then Cameron, Hayes, and Aaron bolt past me. And then they run into like this bar area, and then the bartender yelled at them because they weren't allowed to be there. But the whole time that was happening, Hayes was 1 foot in front of me, and I could have touched him and tagged him, but at the same time, I don't think anything would have happened because it didn't really count because they were getting yelled at that time. So I decided to just let it go. But then they just ran somewhere else, and no one knew where they went. So we just like chilled in the lobby. But then we went back upstairs and we changed into pajamas, and for me that was like this sweatshirt and then spandex shorts, just because that's what I sleep in. It's comfortable. And then by the window in my hotel room, we had a really big window and like a marble ledge that we all sat on, and then there was a chair and curtains, so one person sat backwards on the chair and closed the curtains around us, and we were like, MTV Cribs. It was hilarious, but we were just sitting there watching. And then at like 12:30, we saw 3 of the guys go outside, and we had a really good view of like the field and the sidewalk and the boardwalk and like all of that stuff. So my mom was asleep at like before MagCon even ended. Or no, she was asleep at like 11. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. She was asleep around then, and I'm like, Mom, we're going down. And she's like, oh, okay. So we went down, and Jacob, Aaron, and Hayes were out. And we penny boarded down to talk to them. But Hayes was with 3 other girls, and then Aaron and Jacob were walking, like, up more. So we decided to just walk behind Hayes, like, not be super close and super creepy. Just walk behind him. And I was like, guys, we're going to get in so much fucking trouble because it was after curfew and we already got in trouble with the security guards once. And then Hayes turned around, he's like, hey. And I was like, hi. So it was really awkward. But then we just boarded, like, back down and we were going to board back to the hotel. But Jacob and Aaron came towards us. Like, we didn't go towards them. They came to us. And I was like, oh, hey. And then they walked through plants. And then Aaron was like, hi. And I was like, Aaron, you're so cute. I love you. And he's like, oh, thank you. I love you too. And then he took pictures with my friend Lisa. And then they started walking away. But I was like, Jacob, can I get a quick picture? So I took 1 a.m. picture, or 12:30 a.m. pictures with Jacob Whiteside. So that was pretty fun. But also, we didn't eat anything, so at like 11, I'm telling the story out of order, but at like 11, we walked to Subway, and we got a ride back in like one of these things where there's a person in front who has a bicycle, and then there are seats in the back, and then you ride. So we got a ride back in one of those, and the guy played really loud, like, rap music. They said a bunch of bad words, and then people were staring at us, but it was really funny. And then when we pulled up at the hotel, we paid the guy, and then we got out, and then there was Weekly Chris. So Weekly Chris was with 2 other girls, but they left, and then he just stayed with us. He's like, hey, do you guys want a picture? And then we're like, yeah, sure. So we took pictures with him, and then we asked, like, questions and stuff, because we wanted to try and start a conversation. So he answered them, and he's like, oh, I couldn't find Starbucks. And then we said that we knew where Starbucks was, so we could walk in there. So we took him to Starbucks, but Starbucks was closed. So we ended up taking like 3 laps around the hotel just talking to Weekly Chris. So it was really fun. But, yeah. And then later that night, after we already saw Jacob, Aaron, and Hayes, Matthew tweeted that he was hungry. So we had a bunch of food on our floor just because there were like 9 girls there and Troy. And it was really fun. So we spam tweeted Matt to come to floor 9. And then also my friends, they had pizza earlier that day. So they had an empty pizza box. And in Sharpie, they wrote come to floor 9 for like real food and more like chips and drinks and stuff. So we sent that up to their floor. But nothing happened. So we sent it up again, and then an elevator opened, but we didn't see anything. And then Taylor poked his head out, and he was like, do you guys actually have food? And then everyone jumped up off the floor and then, like, bolted over to the elevator, and then everyone, like, threw food at him, and then he took my friend's chips, and then he took one of the drinks that I gave him. And everyone was like, Taylor, come out of the elevator, because he was just, like, standing there. So he's like, oh, okay. So he stood out, and then we started talking. And then he was on our floor for like 5 minutes, and he's like, come on, guys, let's go hang out in the lobby. And then I said, Taylor, we might get in trouble because of curfew. He's like, who gives a shit, bro? And I'm like, I don't, because you're Taylor Kniff, so let's just get in the elevator, okay? So we got in the elevator, and he talked, and I have a picture of me standing behind him in the elevator. So I'll show that. And then, right when we got down to the lobby, Aaron and Hayes were going in another elevator, so they just pulled Taylor in with him, and that made us really sad because he left. But for the second day of MagCon, we had general admission. So we got in line a little bit later than we did the previous day just because our entry started an hour later. So we got Starbucks, and we just hung out before that, and then my mom, she took us all, so she had our suitcases with her. So her and Lisa, this was about like 1 p.m., her and Lisa brought all the suitcases down to the car, and me and my other 2 friends, we checked the room to make sure that we didn't leave anything. So when they were on their way up, Taylor and Karen just got done being outside, so they got in their elevator, and then since Taylor saw my mom, he didn't make them get out. Like, if it was just me and Lisa, he probably made us get out, but he was like, what floor? And then Lisa, she literally told me that she was so scared, like, not scared, but nervous, so she was just really quiet, and then my mom was like, floor 9, and then when she was moving to push it, he accidentally, like, kind of tripped her a little bit. So she was, so he like touched her shoulder and was like, hey, are you okay? And she's like, yeah. But I forgot to mention, they were both shirtless. Yeah, that happened. So after all of our suitcases and stuff were in the car, what we did was we decided to get lunch before the event because we didn't eat anything that day, except Starbucks. So we boarded / walked to Subway, the Subway that we went to the night before. And in the middle of what we were eating, we all have our notifications on for all the guys. We got a notification saying from Taylor saying, if anyone in the downtown San Diego area has time, can they please go to the Vans store and buy me these socks? And he put a picture of the socks. And I was like, hey, we're in the downtown San Diego area. So we literally threw everything away and bolted to the Vans store. We walked, like, I think 1.6 miles in probably like 7 minutes. Like, we walked because Troy and Lisa didn't have a penny board, but me and Anastasia did, so we walked / boarded there. And then Taylor later tweeted, they'll get a follow and a kiss, or they'll be completely paid back. So we were like, okay, we're definitely going. So we got to the Van store. We were the first people there. We got the Van socks. We ran back outside. I flagged us a taxi. 4 preteens / teens. Well, none of us are 12. So 4 teens in a taxi with a middle-aged man driving us to a hotel. How good does that sound to you? Not very good. But the guy was really nice, and he told us that he would give us a discount, and he drove us the quickest way possible. So there was no way that we were going to be able to get these to Taylor just because he was already almost ready for the event. But luckily, his grandpa was in the lobby. So we walked up to him and we were like, hey, we have the socks for Taylor. Then he's like, oh, wow, thank you so much. And then he started to take out his wallet. He's like, hey, it's $20 enough? I'm like, no, please, keep your money. Like, just seeing Taylor smile would be payment enough. And he's like, well, I'll make sure to give these to him. And we were like, oh, is there any way that we could do it? He's like, I don't think so, sorry. And I was like, oh, okay, can we just write our Twitters on it? So Troy wrote his Twitter, then he wrote mine, then he wrote Nastasia's, then he wrote Lisa's. Then we gave the socks to Taylor's grandpa. And then we just sat on the floor, just like kind of sad that we didn't get to see him again. But we charged our phones, and we were just sitting there, kind of sad. And then we got a notification. And me and Troy had been tweeted by Taylor. So Taylor tweeted me and Troy, but he never followed us, and he didn't tweet Nastasia and Lisa either. But I gained probably 400 to 500 followers. 400 to 500 followers just from that tweet. Like, my notifications were blowing up. I was so happy that I got tweeted, but at the same time, I was really sad that I didn't get followed. But so that happened, and then we were really happy for the event. And a bunch of people were like, oh, hey, are you the people that Taylor tweeted? And we're like, yeah. And I don't know how they knew, but they just did. So then we were in line. Then at around like 4:15, we went in, and we didn't really have any use for that day just because we had general, so we decided to go in the crowd for a little bit. Then we decided to just sit back out and just watch everything unfold. But we were sad that we didn't get to see Taylor and Ash again, so we really wanted to see him, so we decided that we were going to try and find a way to get in. So at first, we talked to Jacob Whiteside's mom because she helped my friend Troy the day before, but she couldn't do anything. But I showed her a picture of me and Jacob. She's like, I ship it. I'm like, I ship it too. But, so we then talked to Bart, but Bart said, no, Taylor got like 7 pairs of socks today, sorry. And then we got really sad. So we went in and we started to talk to just some of our friends, and then we talked to a security guard who was really nice. And we were like, oh, so how's it like securing these boys? And we just started like a general conversation with him. And then then we told him like the thing about the socks. We were like, yeah, we bought Taylor socks, and he said he would get a follow or a kiss or whatever, but he never did. And then he's like, oh wow, really? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, is there any way that we could get to see him? And then he was like, are you sure that you bought the socks? And then I was getting like, get ready to whip out my phone and be like, yeah, here's the picture of like the receipt and stuff. He's like, no, okay, I'll go ask. So he went in, and then Lisa wanted to make sure that he was talking to them, so she got on my back and she saw him talking to Taylor and Ash. And she's like, he's talking to him, and then we started jumping around. And so he's like, then he came back out and he's like, yeah, you can go in. And we're like, really? And he's like, yeah, but don't tell anyone. This isn't a big thing. And I was like, oh, okay. So he kept on the down low, and then we walked to the front of the meet and greet line, and then the security guard told the other security guards, like, they're with me, and then they were just like, oh, okay. So we got in, we had to skip Jacob and Brent, and then Hayes and Aaron's line, and just go straight to Taylor and Ash. So, everyone was scared, again, and I'm kind of the most talkative one, so they're like, Sarah, you go first. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So I walked up to Taylor, and I was like, hi, Taylor, we bought you the socks. And then he hugged me, and then he's like, oh, thank you so much. And I was like, you're welcome, I love you. And then I hugged Ash, and then we took the pictures. And then I looked up at Taylor, I'm like, hey, you tweeted me, you should follow me. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll follow you. And he never did. Then that's pretty much all that happened at MagCon, but we had a really good time and a really fun experience. And if you guys get the opportunity to go anywhere to meet the guys, I would definitely take it, because it's gonna be amazing. And Taylor's planning a summer tour, and I'm so excited for that. So I'm probably gonna go to the LA one. So if you've ever been to MagCon, comment below or comment your fave, because mine's Taylor. So follow me on Twitter. All links will be below. Peace, love, Swaggy.
She in the city, but she from a small town. High heels, tall shots make her fall down. Up late, now she